Writers, yesterday we started thinking about when we're done, we've just begun, and brainstormed some ways to bring our stories to life. One of the things that I added to my story that I taught you that maybe you hopefully got a chance to do in your story yesterday was to bring out the inside, meaning we can add what people are feeling in our stories and what people are thinking in our story. And I showed you my drawing that sometimes helps me remember that what somebody's thinking and what somebody's feeling. I like that little black heart that I did. And so remembering that we can add what somebody's thinking in our pictures and in our words, and the same with feeling. And I showed you how I did that in my story. So take a moment right now and look back at your story and see where you were able to add some thinking or some feeling and share it with your neighbor, meaning your classmate, if you can, in a safe way. Share it with a stuffed animal if you're at home. Reread it to yourself. So just take a minute to remember that and be proud of yourself of how you did some revising. Way to go. So today I want to teach you another way that we can bring our stories to life is to unfreeze people by making them move and making them talk. And so, how I might add that here is making people move. I'm thinking of action. So, were they running, or maybe were they lifting something or kicking something? So, thinking about some action I could include of my characters, what they were doing, and then what they were saying. Oops, gotta plug in my computer. So what they were saying, right? So those are two other ways that we can bring our characters to life, to take our story from good to great by including action and by including talking, or what our character was saying. So I'm going to try to do that in my story. Hopefully my computer won't die on us. And so yesterday, remember on my first page, I was able to add in some thinking and some feeling, and I'm still remembering that. Like if there's a part in my story or in my picture where I'm thinking, oh, I could add how I was feeling or how I was thinking here, I can totally do that. But I'm also thinking about talking and action in my story. So I'm going to turn my next page. And here, there's a lot of action happening, right? And let's just reread to remember what I wrote. Suddenly, I turned back to the bike path and saw Harrison on the ground. Screech! I squeezed my brakes as hard as I could, but it was too late, right? So I actually have some good action here. I squeezed my brakes, right? Like, can you picture that? Me going like this really hard on my brakes. That's exactly what I did. And when I said here, I turned back to the bike path, can you picture that, right? That's more action I'm including in my story, but I don't have any talking. So I might include some talking and thinking about what exactly did I say. And here, I definitely said, I might say, yikes. And maybe Harrison was saying, ouch, right? And Kyle just looks really sad, right? So I could add speech bubbles to show talking, and I could also try to add some talking down here. So suddenly I turned back to the bike path and saw Harrison on the ground. Screech! I squeezed my handbrakes as hard as I could, but it was too late. I think it's maybe good. I think because I added my speech bubbles up here, I don't necessarily need the talking down here, but I might add it after. Let's look at the last page. My bike crashed into Harrison. Are you okay? I cried. Harrison was crying. So here, I did already have some talk. Are you okay? And I do have the speech bubble here. But if you remember what Harrison said, I might want to add that here. And I might say, Mom, you ran me over, right? Maybe do a few tears on his eyes to show that. Are you okay? I cried. Harrison was crying. And then remember, I did apologize. I am so sorry, I said, right? So just see how I did that? I thought back to the story. I added in talking and action. I already had some action, but I could always add in more action. I feel like that's one that my stories tend to lack. To really bring my stories to life, unfreeze my characters, and take my story from good to great, right? Because when you're done, you've just begun. There are always ways to improve our stories. So today, as you're rereading your story, or you're starting a new story, really be remembering how we unfreeze our character by including thinking, feeling, say it with me, action, and talking. Way to go, writers. Can't wait to read your writing.